welcome to the Projection Project. My name is Rain, and I'm your super awesome, epic, and cool host. And today I have back with me Emily.
Sup? Hi guys.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. How do you feel to be back?
I'm excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Honestly, me too. We got an awesome and cool topic, so you guys better listen to this episode.
Better.
Mic drop. And this time on this episode, I don't have gear that makes me sound muffled. Yeah. Anyway, so on this episode, Emily and I are gonna talk about a whole bunch of stuff from Shifttok that's generally made us upset. The drama, not drama, but any kind of crazy stuff, because a lot of stuff has happened. Shifttok has been around for almost 2 years now. Like, obviously shifting has been around for a while, but shifting has been on TikTok now for almost 2 years. So there's a lot of stuff that's happened, and not controversies, but debates, I guess. And we're here to talk about some of them and give our opinions. So yeehaw.
Yeah, and they're just opinions. We're just heads up. We're not telling you what you should do at all.
Yeah, these are just opinions. Our opinions could sway you and things like that. Like, obviously we're going to explain our opinions, but it's up to you what you really think about anything. So
for sure.
First things first, there's so many things that are like related in one topic. So I guess to one topic is like aging yourself up or down. How do you feel about it?
So
it's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic right now, and I would just like to specify, especially on Harry Potter TikTok. I don't know if you know me on TikTok. If you don't, I recently just posted a video about this. But aging, specifically aging up and adults on Shifttok, especially Harry Potter Shifttok, where and why we shift, and how accusing adults as shifting to minors is very hurtful and something you should not do ever. To kind of go into that a little bit, just quickly or briefly, I'm not going to go into it too much because, again, if you don't follow me already, I already made a pretty insightful video about it. But making accusations like that for creators, it's really hurtful, especially repeatedly, and on their account they specifically say they shift for adults. And there's lots of reasons that I could go into why accusing them to shifting to minors is inappropriate. I think honestly you should kind of know better and understand why and how it's hurtful just in general, because that is just a really serious accusation. Just to kind of go past this, if there's something that you find uncomfortable with an adult on Shifttok, please bring it up to their attention, DM them, or if it's a total normal video that you find uncomfortable or something, there is the block button. You can block a creator. There's also an uninterested button on your For You page. There's a bunch of precautions you could do. And again, if there's something you want to bring to a light to somebody who's making content and there's like something seems a little off, feel free to ask them, but you need to do it respectfully.
Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I didn't know you were. There were.
No. I'm just let me finish. I just know a lot of creators will be willing to answer your questions as long as it's not accusatory and it's respectful. And that's pretty much what I have to say on that topic.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
Don't worry about it.
I definitely agree. I think that definitely calling adults pedophiles is
trigger warning.
Sorry. Or calling them groomers or anything like that is really harmful. And that means that they are trying, like, they are interested in children. Like, they wouldn't if they are interested in children, then they would keep them that age. But if they age them up, then they wouldn't be doing that. Like, I, especially whenever creators state multiple times that they've aged them up, or they explain how aging in their DR works, or that they made it a university, or that it's post-war, or that it's like they all have jobs, or that they're professors, or however you made your DR. Hopefully I covered a whole bunch of examples, and people still accuse them of being anything or doing anything crazy. It's harmful. And it makes creators really upset, and it makes them, or adult creators, I should say, it makes adult creators really upset and not want to share stories. And stories motivate people, especially whenever their DR is, or the fans' DR is really similar to the creators' DR, because then they're like, oh, like I can't wait to experience moments like this, like, you know. And generally, sometimes being an adult in the shifting community can be kind of harmful, because minors, not all minors, let me say that, not all minors are like this, but some minors are like, well, why do adults even try to shift? Like, don't you have a job to do, or don't you have this to do, or like, don't you have a life to live? Like, yeah, we all have lives to live. Like, this is something we do for fun. Like, you do, like, you other minors do stuff for fun too. Like, oh, they play basketball, or they read, or they draw, or they dance for fun. Like, we do stuff for fun too, and so can you. Like, this is
Exactly.
just a hobby, I guess, as you would say. And it's harmful doing stuff like this. I lost my
It's
train of thought.
definitely it's definitely been existent on Shifttok and Harry Potter Shifttok more too. And the reason why I think it was brought to light is I do think that there has been some upsetting content on Harry Potter TikTok in general. And I do have to say, like, there has been edits in the past where people will be like, well, you're an adult, you're making an edit with this character. And just to put it out there, I don't know if anybody's covered this in other podcasts or whatever, there isn't a lot of footage that, if say we want to make a Harry Potter edit, and we're an adult, there's not a lot of footage we could use, but there are some situations that people put themselves in inappropriate situations, which I now look at and see how kind of awkward and kind of bad that may be. But that's kind of verging again kind of away from the shifting, but this is something that I think kind of blends into Shifttok, which I think we kind of need to separate it from. But I know I now, if any, I want to make Harry Potter POVs, whether it be George or anything else, I know right now I have an OC, like original character, that I cosplay. So cosplaying is different than putting myself in a scene with a character. It's my original character. And I think that kind of got blurred in the lines with people and shifting POVs with the characters. And I think that's where the lines were being crossed when Shifttok was being brought up with Shifttok originally. And again, with pictures, reference photos, from the character, if somebody uses a reference photo and you find it inappropriate because that actor or the character in general is an age that you find inappropriate, that is something to bring to light instead of calling out or assuming that that person is shifting for a minor. There are differences, and there are things that you can bring to light and say that you're uncomfortable, and you could go to a creator, you find something, you like this creator, but you found something that they made uncomfortable regarding their DR using a picture that is younger. You can just go, in the future, could you use a picture of the actor when they were older? But again, understand that we are using these reference photos as their characters because they were that character in their DR. So there are a bunch of different lines, especially on Harry Potter TikTok, especially, where those lines could be kind of blurred, and unless you voice your opinion or respectfully, again, all of this has to be respectfully, until you say something similar or on the lines of that, that is when we kind of don't know. But you accusing is harmful versus you bringing that to our attention. That's also what I have to say.
I mean, me at least, no, let us, I don't know how to say this, but there may be other examples. Like, we don't really know that all adults are aging them up. Like, there could be creepy adults that leave them as minors. We don't really know, right? But
Yeah,
most people are normal people and will age them up. Like, we don't, I guess there's no really good way to know if anyone's telling the truth or not. But most people are going to be normal people and age them up because we're not weird. In case you guys don't know, Emily and I are both adults.
yeah.
Obviously you can't see us, so I wanted to bring an adult on here and talk about this.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it would be weird to have like a minor talk about adult stuff. I don't know. But yeah, on the flip side, on the how do you oh, okay, I want to give an example first before I ask this question. I think people don't realize how differently you're treated as soon as you become an adult in the shifting community. And here's an example for anyone listening, and I want you to really think about this. Let's say you're 17 and tomorrow is your birthday and you're going to be 18. Like, what are you thinking wise for your DR or scripting or anything? Like, how much do you think is going to change for you as soon as you turn 18 tomorrow? For like, how do you think fans are going to treat you as soon as you become older? Do you think they're going to treat you nicely, or do you think they're going to ask you all these questions if you've aged people up? Like, what are you truly thinking that they're going to do as soon as you become 18? You are truly treated so differently as soon as you become an adult in the shifting community. And people don't realize that. People truly don't realize that. And I think some people do, but it really doesn't hit them until they're 18, because I know some creators I've seen where they're like, hey, as soon as I hit 18, I'm done talking about my Harry Potter DR. I'm not shifting there anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I think it's because people don't want to deal with the drama that comes with being an adult shifting to Harry Potter.
Yeah. And honestly, I haven't been posting like necessarily my shifting journey. Like, my account started growing after I was 18, but I did start like trying to shift when I was 17 still, and a lot of the lines were like blurred, and I was kind of confused on how to change that or what to do. And I've definitely grown, because that's been over 2 years now. But and again, everybody's shifting journey is different. Mine is different. And I think younger creators, or not younger creators, but younger people don't understand is how shifting is kind of a journey, and a spiritual journey at that, and like really on how to like find yourself kind of, and really be in a better place for that. And I kind of lost my train of thought. I apologize. um I went on a tangent and now I don't remember what I was talking about. But yeah, I think it's important to realize the difference in how you're being treated as an adult, because I've definitely seen it. And I have mutuals and friends I've made off of mutuals who are in their 20s, and I'm almost 20. But me being on starting to be on Shifttok when I was 18, I've definitely seen like the difference, like weirdly a difference between like being an adult still kind of, but also like the difference between people in their 20s, because I do think there also is that in between where people are just like, I feel like I've been ignored, but I don't know why or how, because I've had friends at the time who aren't on Shifttok anymore and haven't been for a while, but I was 18 and at the time they were 19 and 20, and there was definitely that difference, and I wasn't getting, and even me like standing up for them, I was still like, I was like like being kind of ignored. I'm like, well, this is weird, but there is definitely a difference. And I think, yeah, minors and younger people on this app don't really understand.
I also started to, I mean, I started my shifting journey. I was already 18. I was like kind of freshly 18. And it was hard whenever you like I first started shifting. It was hard to find adults who were shifting. I'm glad that there are more adults in the community. I think it's nice. But I'm not almost I'm going to be 20 this year, but I'm not almost 20. I have a couple more months.
Yeah, that's
I'm pretty
true.
sure
I'm
Emily's
not
older than me.
almost.
Wait, I don't
By
remember.
like a month or so, but
Yeah, I was like, I'm
I
pretty sure
mean,
Emily's older than me.
I say almost, meaning what, that's
You're like
like,
5 months.
oh yeah. No, that's still like 8 months from now. Nah, that's not almost. I
Wait,
just
when is your
turned
birthday
18.
again?
What? September 5th.
Oh wait, I'm older than you.
Oh.
Never mind.
Anyway,
We're both not almost 20. We're still
take that back.
fat and like fat old 19. Like
We got still the last of our teen years left, you know.
But yeah, I definitely agree that as soon as you hit like that 20 mark, people really start treating you like an adult because
they really start breathing down your neck, like,
because 18 and 19, like you're still like an adult, but people are like, oh, since you're in your teens, so like they're not as hard. But as soon as you hit 20, people are so hard on you asking questions. Can't wait for that. Okay, moving on.
as space.
Okay, going on to what I was going to ask beforehand before I said something else. Now going the opposite direction of what do you think about minors who age themselves up?
There's some things I'm going to talk about more later in a different topic, but you know, honestly, I think it honestly depends.
Yeah, that's kind of my answer too.
Yeah, you have to understand, like, if you're I'm going to give a couple examples and then I'm going to talk about it, brief examples, my reasons why, and I'm going to talk about more later because I have something else that is a completely different rant and topic later. But
are you making this an MLA format?
Oh my gosh. Anyway. So I honestly don't really care, and I think it depends. And I just would say be careful. If you are shifting to something, like if you're shifting just a couple years, I don't care. Honestly, I think there's kind of that difference because of adults shifting to be a minor. It's just not okay.
The only thing I'm going to say about that is if you are going to fix, like, to relive your childhood, that's okay. That is the only time that you can go to be a minor.
Yeah, but that yeah, okay. I say yes.
Only time that's okay.
But see, I don't condone it, which I think there are levels to, I think we need to address with restraints on children. And I'm saying this children meaning 17 and younger because you guys are still children. Being careful shifting to be adults. And when I say you guys can, I think if you're living your life and say you're shifting to be like, say you're 15 and you're shifting to be 18 and you're living your life for how many years, I think that's honestly whatever, because you're living your life through your DR, right? I just don't think you should automatically shift to, if you're 15, I don't think you should be shifting to 25 to 26. And especially if you're only shifting to quote unquote rail a specific character. Because I feel like there are decent remedies if there's a specific character that is canonically a certain age. And I mean, I hate to burst your bubble, but it is kind of, you got to know that there's restrictions on shifting to be younger. And I think there should sort of be, or not really restrictions, but kind of these known like rules and regulations on like what's okay and what's not. I think minors should really understand how difficult it is for us adults, for you guys, knowing like just, I'm that age, right? And you guys not living that life or knowing anything, and just there's a big difference. And there could be the difference of like, what's the difference of me shifting to be 25 and you guys shifting to be 25? It's the sense of maturity, I guess, honestly. Yeah, it honestly comes to, and I'll talk about it again, I'll talk more about it later because I have something else to say about it. But just know there's alternate ways to do that, just like we make alternate realities for our Harry Potter DRs, such as a college, like we're shifting to go to school with them, but instead of it being the boarding school in the books that as we know, it's a university where all adults were going to learn, but we're also going to school. And you could also do, because I've read these like, I guess good, I'm not good, great fan fictions, but I've read certain fan fictions or like alternate universe fan fictions where they've like Avengers at high school. Like, I feel like there's a way that you could do that, or you could always make characters and rewrite or retell a story. If there's a specific character you're shifting for, you could make them canonically younger to a certain extent. But I guess it is still kind of that level and balance. I think there's a meet in the middle kind of, I don't know. I don't really know how to say it, but Rain, do you have anything to add or
Yeah, no,
help
I get what you're saying
explain?
with meeting in the middle. I did that for one of my DRs where
Mhm.
I generally whenever I age myself, I don't, even though I'm already an adult, I only age myself only like a couple more years. I know that won't probably do much for me. Uh I think in both of the DRs where I aged myself up, I think I'm like 22, and obviously
Yeah.
I'm gonna be 20 in a couple months. But in one of my DRs, I aged myself up like 2 years, and then I aged everyone down probably like 4 years because I had to look up their ages because I was like, I don't know how old these people are, and I found out their ages. I was like, holy shit, they're really old, and like
Yeah,
they're like
exactly.
way older than I thought. So then I like aged them down, so it was like the age gap like wasn't weird, or I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I'm doing.
so
To specify, if you have something similar to my DR and script for your adventure script, and you're say an eternal, or like you've lived your life for a long time, just be aware that like I somehow lose my eternity and I'm present myself as 22, but I've aged who I'm shifting for, or a couple characters that I could be shifting for, also kind of mature wise down, even though they've also lived kind of a fuller life, if that makes sense. But for that whole like Bucky and Steve thing, like it's kind of complicated.
yeah, I don't really like count that they're like 100 or whatever. I know that they're supposed to be 100 and they're supposed to be older, but in reality, like in my mind, I think that like they're supposed to be like 27 or something. Like whenever
Yeah.
like Steve freshly gets out of the ice, he's supposed to be like 27.
Yeah,
Um,
no, mine is gonna be like there's ways that you can do it so that it's like younger.
I know some. some minors, not all minors, obviously, they keep their age, and a lot of their love interest is like Peter Parker or anything like that, or they scripted Miles Morales or anything like that. So they keep themselves like the teenage age, and I appreciate any minor who does that, and they generally not don't age them up or age themselves up, and they keep themselves in high school. Before I say anything about this, I can't do anything if you're a minor. If you age yourself up, like I've said this in lots of episodes, like what am I gonna do? Enter your DR and like beat you up? Like I obviously I know the adult age changes like around the world depending on what country you live in. I still really think that being an adult is like 18. Let's say like you're 15. I think it's like best if you keep yourself like around like 18, but I think like it's okay if you're adult, I guess. But like Emily said, your maturity level is going to change depending not change, but if I make myself 22 and you're 15, you're going to make yourself 22. We're going to be very different 22-year-olds. And if you're younger than 15, for example, the best example I can think of is if anyone out there has seen 13 going on 30, that's the best example I can think of is if you're young and you make yourself an adult.
That is Shifting. That movie is about shifting.
Literally,
you cannot prove me wrong.
Because I think the max
young, 30, and flirty and thriving was her safe word.
Mark Ruffalo's in that movie, everyone.
Hey yo, that's the most handsome I will ever find him. I think he's so handsome. I just like that is like my favorite Mark Ruffalo. I had a crush on him when I was younger.
For anyone who hasn't seen that movie, basically a young 13-year-old girl wishes that she were an adult. Like being super basic with the plot, like missing a lot. And so, but she becomes an adult and she's a very childish adult because her mindset doesn't change because she's a 13-year-old. And that whole I guess if you're 15 and you make yourself 25, like I said, I can't do anything, but you're gonna realize how really fast that people are gonna treat you differently because you seem really immature, and it's I don't know it's fine, but I would say like the max amount of years you should age yourself is like 10, I guess, depending on how old you are. Like, I guess if you're 16 and 17, you can be really mature and be 15, 16, 17. Like, you can go through a lot of stuff that really matures you. So I would say I was a pretty mature kid. So it's totally fine, but there are exceptions. And you don't really know until like your our age if you were mature or not at that age, because you may think that you're really mature, but you will get a really fast reality check if you're mature or not in your DR if you're an adult.
I think it kind of verges on to what I want to talk about our next topic. What do you think?
You can definitely start talking about it. I think that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
No, you definitely didn't, because I'll go back to it if I forgot anything.
Yeah, please do. So like I said, this kind of goes into the topic that I kind of wanted to come on here and talk about, because I've just kind of wanted to bring it to people's attention, or just kind of my concerns, actually. So it kind of verges on like different DRs and where people are shifting to when they're aging themselves up. And I know Rains actually has a video, or not, sorry, a podcast already talking about trauma and everything. And
go check it out.
Yes, please do. Trauma, scripting trauma. But one thing I have to talk about, DRs, where you're shifting to. So people who are under the age of 17, I would have to say it depends. Again, we're talking about maturity levels, honestly, but it's, again, to your knowledge how mature you are. But children shifting to any type of media that wasn't specifically geared towards them, meaning any mature rating, I don't know what else to say. Like, yeah.
Anything like rated R, rated M.
Rated M, rated MA, just like say an adult book, show or movie, stuff like that, that are, again, wasn't geared to you, for you guys to even view as children, right? I think you guys should really be wary and wary of where you shift to. I'm going to give a few examples and why I think you should really be careful with this. First one I have is Criminal Minds. I have a different view of different things. I know Criminal Minds isn't really like viewed at like isn't a mature rating per se, but there's a lot. Criminal Minds, right? And just there's a lot of, I think, dark topics. And I know it's TV 14 and you can watch it on Hulu and Netflix. And where I'm from, I don't really know. There's different places you can watch it, but it is definitely a show that is really popular. And I think the past 2 years became super popular. I never really had the interest to shift there, honestly, because I just don't think I was ever mentally could have prepared myself for that, because knowing the show and really watching it, I've watched that show. I have to say I've probably watched that show 4 times. But it is definitely like a lot to take in, and you have to be really mature. And I haven't seen too many younger people shifting there in a while, but I do know one of my mutual shifts there. But
I've seen like a lot of like 16-year-old like up there, which I think is better. But I know a couple people have talked about how like shifting there was kind of traumatizing. I know someone said that they saw a dead body there, and that really like affected them.
I mean, it's kind of inevitable just because of what you have to deal with Criminal Minds. If you don't know what Criminal Minds is, it's a criminal show where they are criminal
like
they
justice.
Work for the FBI, they work for the FBI, and they are profilers who are doing a lot of psychological like investigations on major trigger warning, serial killers, different like just big major crimes, and them figuring out psychologically what could be wrong with them, who it could have been because of different things. And it could definitely, if you shift there, be mindful, because be mindful, because it is just definitely something you I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry, I like definitely interrupted you, and that caused loud.
It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. No, it's just one of those places that you really need to understand the type of place you're shifting to. And yeah, what you're shifting for.
Also, because that's a show where even though they wear bulletproof vests, it's a show where you can easily get shot. And that could be really scary. And shows like that really glorify like jobs like that. They make it seem like they're the best or they're really cool. And jobs like that can also be really scary. And I know that's also Sydney and I talked about this in the getting traumatized episode. Not getting traumatized, but like scripting trauma. Getting traumatized. Woo. No, just kidding. Don't do that. How people also, criminal mind shifters are also really popular, like are really well known for scripting, like purposely scripting in traumatic events, because traumatic things happen in that show to people who are in who are like the main characters of the show. Just be careful.
It's just, please just be mindful. I think this is honestly the topic is be mindful, and suggesting minors not to shift to places that have a lot of gore unless you like it. I mean, I don't know.
Like, shit, we don't know you. Like,
yeah. But here's the thing. So I'm gonna give an example of myself, because but I know I was talking to a mutual of mine and she had a different experience. But I am shifting to Daredevil because I'm in love with Matthew Murdock. We don't, yeah, yeah.
Clap it up.
Anyway, but I think people, again, just an opinion, people need to understand that shows like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, I haven't seen, but I've watched the rest of them. Plus, I've seen Defenders. Those, all of them have to deal with really dark topics and unlike and issues that I know were not really going to my head because to your disbelief, I happen to have been your age once if you were a minor. Not if you're
Wow.
older than me.
Mind
But
blown.
the show came out around 2015, 2016, if I'm correct. Daredevil. And get that I was 11 and 12. That was that long ago. And when I first came out, my parents sort of cared what I like took in, but when it came to like Marvel, my dad really could care less because I liked it, my brother liked it, and yes, my brother consumed that type of content younger, but that's a whole different topic. But a lot of it, I do have to say, my brother and I were talking about this the other day. A lot of it, we didn't consume it. We didn't know what was going on. Like for me, that type of violence in that show when I first started watching it, it was a lot. It was a lot for me as a person of that age and that maturity level for me to take in. So I would watch the show, but if there's a really like gritty fight scene, which I have to say is most of Daredevil, most of that show is bloody fights. And there's a lot. It's really graphic. But I do have to say, like, I barely watched the show. I watched the show, but I only watched it because I liked the premise of the show and the actor was cute. But like then I went back and rewatched it like a couple years ago and I still like I've gradually started to like it more and I've always kind of liked action, but that was just way too much for me. And I just think I think people need to take in is just like the difference between what we see in like Marvel movies and then like stuff like that. Right? Yeah. And I know, let me say one more thing. What I want to say, I know I saw a few TikToks on my For You page where they had a Daredevil DR, which you can do whatever. And I know he's become a lot more popular. And I do have to say, my crush on him has gotten huger, like bigger, because I saw him on from I guess this is sort of a No Way Home spoiler, but if you haven't seen No Way Home, I apologize. But he was in the show or in the movie, and it was a big surprise to everyone, and that's kind of how he became more popular, why the show's becoming popular again on Netflix and stuff like that. And so I had seen a 15-year-old on my For You page shifting there, and I was like, I don't suggest it. It's just not somewhere that I think, I don't know, like dealing with villains from shows like that, they're so psychologically manipulative that you really need to know what to shift, how not to do certain things. Like in my Daredevil DR, I don't know if most people that I know, I don't know how many people know it. It's a Marvel TV show, and it is a dark comic originally. And the bad guy Fisk, he kind of controls New York. and the crime in New York, and he takes his large sum of money and he does what he pleases to pay off people to control certain situations. So in my DR, I have specifically scripted that he cannot control my like money, like anything like in my life, that so that he can control me in any way possible, or like, because there are ways that like villains like that can do that, if that makes sense. I think I went on a total rant, but yeah.
Also, I mean, this is for everyone generally, that people need to realize, generally talking about being like getting traumatized in your DR. One is that this is a reminder that you cannot script a trauma will not follow me back. No, that shit does not work. That shit does not work. You cannot script things for your current reality, your original reality. It doesn't work. And everyone processes trauma differently. Everyone considers different things traumatic. So, for example, I may consider something traumatic that Emily doesn't consider something traumatic, or I may consider something really traumatic and Emily may only consider it like kind of traumatic. It's different for everyone. So maybe I feel okay keeping something in while Emily doesn't feel okay keeping it in, because maybe I know that I can handle it, but Emily doesn't think that she can handle it. Like, it's different for everyone. And I think sometimes people forget that whenever they find out what people script in their DR. But there's definitely a point where people tell us stuff, and there's a point where it's gone too far, and we know that it's not okay, because things, if you script, you have a traumatic past, generally whenever you go there, you're going to have memories, most likely. And there are two things that can happen if you have traumatic memories. And one is that they're going to like be fat in your brain, like they're like going to live there like really easily. And that means that you're going to have to live through these moments. Like, they're going to be in your brain, that you fully live through these moments. Or two, you're going to forget them. Like, your brain is going to block them for your own safety. Your brain does that psychologically, for a lot of reasons. And depending on how your brain reacts to trauma or what it was. I think because you specifically scripted traumatic events, your brain is going to keep it fresh in your brain, and you're going to specifically remember it because you scripted it. Your brain is not going to forget it. And you have to remember that you scripted it, so you lived through that, or you're going to live through that. People do not remember that with traumatic events.
And I think, yeah, I think we just need to like kind of reflect on who you are as a person. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I like this, I like that, I like this and that, and I want to shift there and I want to shift here. And I think you really got to, like, maybe when you're scripting, I don't know how people do, how you script as a listener, how you script per se, if you script, what if you do script, whether it be on notes on your phone, on Google Slides, you're journaling, you're making a scrapbook, while you're writing or anything out, and there's specific details that you're writing, maybe go back and read it and see if you are able to even live through those experiences. I was talking to Rain earlier, and one thing that I think we all need to also kind of reflect on is watching and consuming media is very different than living in this
living in like that moment.
Yeah. And we all know the specifics, and there's different characters and all their backstories, and just taking that in your DR, whatever backstory you have created, it's not just a story. It's your life. It's going to be your life.
Yeah.
And I think it's just one thing that we all need to kind of really look at. And my whole thing is, I really want minors in particular, that meaning 17 and younger, however old you may be, and it also does have to deal with maturity levels. however mature you are, being an adult or not, you really need to understand that there are certain places that you may, as a person, may be not the right place for you to go to. And it might be disappointing or certain things. But if you say you're shifting and you're 15, I would say stick to shifting to places that bring you comfort and joy and stuff like that. And if you do script to be an adult, you do have to deal with adult problems. Like, yeah,
Taxes. No, just
yeah,
kidding.
there are certain things that you will have to deal with if when you're an adult and you're not just, yeah. And see, it then has to go with like the whole escaping certain things, but there are, you could script out a whole bunch of stuff and you can make alternate realities if you want to shift to a certain character for a certain reason or certain things. I just think there's also different ways that you can script out like different story. Like if you like a character, you could make a certain script where you could be with that character in an alternate reality that you're shifting to. It doesn't have to be that same like place, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Quickly.
But
Oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Just go piggybacking off of you. Just it's basically on the same topic. Is if you're someone like me who shifts for the plot, I totally understand if you're like, but I want to keep the plot the same. It's if you think you can live through that or anything, I don't know, depending on what you're going for. If you think you can live through anything that the plot is going for, go ahead, keep it in. It's totally all right if you think you can do it. It's okay to keep the plot but change it a little bit. It's totally all right. It's your DR. You can do whatever you'd like. And because obviously in all my DRs generally I go for the plot. For example, like Marvel, I'm going for the whole plot. I'm starting at the beginning and going, like doing the whole run. And I've changed a couple things because I don't know if I can handle it or do certain things, or like I changed what I thought was best for me. And the only thing you should really worry about whenever you're scripting is yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We are here trying to.
We are your guides.
Yes, we're giving you this information because I don't think it's talked about a lot. That's one thing that I just don't think people talk about, is like there are all these different places that you could shift to, and all these different popular places. And I just don't think we talk about what, like, I don't know, we just don't talk about these things. And I think it's really good to start this conversation, to start us thinking about it, to have other people thinking about it, because we're here to help. We're here to kind of not necessarily protect you, but say there's a certain place and you do get traumatized, we want to keep that from happening. And we're not telling you you can't shift these places. That's not what we're trying to do. We're honestly just trying to tell you our opinions and kind of,
I like, let's say it's totally okay if you need help coming up with ideas. If you have any like friends, shifting friends or mutuals, they will gladly help you. I confide anytime I'm coming up with a script, I confide in my friends all the time for advice. And then they confide in me if they need advice or any kind of suggestions. If you have no friends, come to me for help. I will help you.
Come to any of us, honestly.
Yeah, like, unless I generally don't know where you're going to. I know unless you like give me like a very fat premise of where you're going and ideas. I will try to help you as best I can. But we like some creators are willing to help you come up with ideas. Probably smaller creators, because bigger creators will most likely not see your comment or will ignore you. But
no shade. That's honestly just no shade. That is
but smaller creators are probably will help you or will answer any questions you have, but to the best of their ability. But yeah. Any other things talking about this before we move on to the other topic?
Nope. I have nothing else. Yes, let's move on.
The last thing I wanted to talk about. I noticed this mainly happens in the Harry Potter community. Damn, we're just shitting on the Harry Potter Shifttok community.
We're not shitting on it. We're just bringing to light certain topics.
Issues
The issues.
I don't see it as often anymore, but it was a big problem for a while, where people who shift talk about characters or they're whoever in their DR, and people in the comments say that they're lying because that character is different.
Yes.
It happened a lot at one point. It was really irritating.
So yeah, it's just, let's just okay, let me take in what I want to say real quick. Calm down. You need to understand that your thoughts are different than other people's thoughts. And it's just kind of how the world works. You don't have the same brain, you don't think the same way. And you may have thoughts, or you might have just these ideas of the characters. You either read the book, you watch the show or the movie, and it's just how you picture them in the back of your head, the back of your mind, and just how, because that's how it comes about. That's like your consciousness, how the characters build up from you scripting, from you doing all this. For if you're shifting, there are your versions, not
Mhm.
anybody else's.
It's
Your
what you think
versions.
about them will come to life, basically.
That's how shifting works, you know? And it's just baffling to me. And if you, if there's differences, like a lot of people aren't faking shifting if it's different than your DR. That's not how it works. And you, I feel like we might have said something in our episode talking about it, but like you can't, you can't tell, you can't specifically go to a person who has all these shifting stories, and you can't go up to them and go, "You're a liar."
Yeah,
How do you
I think
know?
we did talk about that.
How do you know?
You can't
You
go to their
don't.
DR and be like, liar.
Like, they could have this huge platform, and they could have faked whatever story. They could have embellished a story. They could have shifted, but it didn't turn out how they wanted, so they completely made up a story. It really, you can't, I know that sometimes it can be discouraging when one of your like most popular like shift talkers, or like somebody that you liked, said that they were lying. I know that's discouraging, but that's, I promise you, that's not everybody. But
Mm-hmm.
you can't go up to anybody. It's not your place to go up and say, you are lying. That is not how it happened. Because you don't know. It is not your place nor your DR.
Because it always sparks in like some internet drama. It always okay, there are the two outcomes. One is that the creator, the person who shifts, always gets like under fire and they're like, I'm not lying, like what, or they end up coming out that they lied. Or the person who called them out looks fucking stupid whenever they're wrong. And they're like, and people are like, why would you accuse that person? Or they get all the glory in the world because they caught the person. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
It's honestly, I know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting tired, but you need to, it's just, people just need to understand and take a step back and realize the world is not surrounded by you. Like, the world does not revolve around you, and not everything is viewed in your eyes. And just honestly take a step back. And you could, again, it goes back to me saying, if you ever have questions about somebody's DR and you're like,
Just
doesn't
ask.
match up,
Ask.
ask.
They will most
Don't,
likely answer.
yes, you can, even if they didn't respond to your comment, DM them, especially like smaller creators, like we were saying, that like, ask them. There's no harm in asking, but again, you got to ask respectfully. Please be mindful how you come off. And I know whenever you're like, text is hard, I know, especially for me, but please be aware how it comes across, but ask. You can have questions.
I definitely like asking works because whenever I first started scripting for Marvel, I didn't know where to like put myself. And now one of my current mutuals, Eliza, if you're listening to this, hello, who was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, before we were mutuals, I asked her questions and she answered all my questions. And then I asked someone else just a couple weeks ago questions about their Eternals DR and how they scripted for it because I didn't know what to do. And then they gladly answered. And smaller creators will generally take the time to answer the questions and will generally see the comments or see the DMs.
Yeah.
Bigger creators will probably they try to answer as many questions as they can most of the time, but sometimes big creators don't see all the comments, they don't see all the DMs. Also, bigger creators also have lives to live also, or they're doing whatever, or they just choose to ignore them. I don't know. I'm not them. I'm not a big creator. we don't really know, but
we don't know. We haven't been there.
Yeah, we haven't been there. But generally, big creators have a lot of comments, so they won't see everything unless they scroll for funsies through all the comments. But a lot of people re-ask the same comments without thinking. Also, if you ask questions, be like mindful of some of the questions. Like truly think about some of these questions because some questions are like so personal that people ask, and I'm like,
some of the questions have gotten people off of Shifttok.
Yeah, I've noticed I've noticed that.
Like consistently asking about somebody's sex life is none of your business.
Yes, that's weird.
Say a creator posts a suggestive video, it's not your place. All right, don't do it. It's inappropriate. And I know most of y'all are minors who do it. It's none of your business. And please be mindful, creators who are minors, please be mindful of posting that type of content as well. I know that's a whole different topic, but again, just don't. There are lines that you cross, and most of the time, if you've crossed them, I know up to 4 or 5 creators were big, are kind of still big, because I know one of them that still has an account, but is not on Harry Potter's TikTok anymore.
I can think of one that left because crosses or boundaries were getting crossed.
You cross their boundaries, and it's just, one of them was a minor at the time, and you just
the one I was thinking about was a minor too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll ask you later. But
now she's an adult.
Yeah, you need to be mindful because it's inappropriate. It's just inappropriate. There we go. Again, I've been saying this, be respectful, be mindful. If you have a question that could be personal, again, do not ask. Just don't ask about people's sex lives. If there's a personal question, please be mindful. Maybe DM them if it's like it has to deal with scripting and you have like a personal question, ask them. I would say try to create some sort of, not necessarily friendship, but like bonding with them before you ask that personal question. But just be mindful.
Yeah, depending on how personal your scripting question is, I would say you could probably still post it in the comments. But really think about it before you post in the comments, depending on how personal it is. Also, can we please stop asking people for script tours? People do not want to post their scripts on the internet. Please. No one wants to share their script. Even if it has nothing inappropriate in it, people just don't want to share because it's theirs. It's their private thing that they scripted. Like, no, people don't want to share their script.
Yeah, I mean, say they have a script like mine. If you don't know, I tend to make scrapbooks out of them, and I think they look pretty. I'm up to doing it, but it's honestly up to them. I honestly don't read off my script. I just see, look how pretty my script is.
Yeah, you do that. You like
like a little zoomy zoom. Like, oh, you can't read that. I mean, you can ask scripting questions without having us read off our whole script.
Like, oh, how did you script this without sounding like blah, or like things like that. But I don't want to post a whole script to it. Like, obviously I have nothing to hide, but it's personal and private. Like, it's kind of like handing over your cell phone. Like, you have nothing
Yes.
to hide on
Well,
your cell phone, but I'm not going to hand you my cell phone.
I have that anxiety whenever I hand my phone, but it's not like missing my phone. It's the anxiety of like
What are they
like
going to
I'm trying
find?
to show it happens with my parents and my grandparents. I try to show them a photo and
Now they're like,
or like there's multiple photos and they're like, ooh, I want to see more. I'm like, no. I have edits in there. I probably should hide.
do you have anything else to say before we close out?
Just be mindful and aware of what you script. If you have scripting questions, be mindful and aware, and be respectful. And please, please do not accuse adults of anything inappropriate if they're shifting somewhere.
I want everyone to know that Emily was doing like prayer hands and she was like shaking them back and forth. She was like,
yes, I was. Anyway, that's all I had to come on here and say. And thank you for having me.
yes, this was, I'd wanted to talk about this for like a couple weeks now. And I was like, I don't know who to bring on.
Me too. Me
and,
too.
And you were like, I want to make this video. And I was like, perfect, I'm bringing you on. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, Emily, and deciding to join this conversation. That was desperately needed. Make sure you guys check out an awesome, cool, super funny episode next week. See you guys later. Goodbye.